with a stunner against LMU. Not that they won the game. BYU was actually favored to win the game, but only by 3 or 4 points. Not by 28.
That was
Jarom.
awesome.
Utter domination against the third-place team in conference. What's trending, as always, presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. BYU was in 7th place in the WCC going into last night. There's just a logjam in the middle of the conference. After last night's games played out, the Cougars are now in 5th place, just 1 game back of LMU. Pretty crazy. So, with that said, do you see BYU turning a corner, and can they make a legitimate run at a top 4 seed in the West Coast Conference Tournament?
They certainly can. It will require some really good play down the stretch, like a no slip-ups situation. Ken Palm has BYU favored in 4 of the 6. The 2 they are not are obviously at Gonzaga, at St. Mary's. If BYU were able to pull one of those 2 off, amazing. I don't expect BYU to win those games because I think the Marriott Center Magic was strong. BYU rose to the occasion, almost beat them at home, didn't quite get it. BYU is one of 2 teams that have lost to ranked teams by 1 point this year with Michigan State. Tough stat. BYU showed that it can play with them. BYU seems to kind of elevate with the good teams and sometimes go down with some of the lesser teams. But BYU is in a situation where if they can summon some sustainable parts of what happened last night, which was mostly defensive, the offense stuck out, the efficiency, the lack of turnovers, 10%, by the way, Cougar Stats saying the lowest against a D1 opponent this year by turnover percentage.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But it was the defense, which is now 25th in the country by efficiency, that is sustainable.
Solid.
Sometimes you don't shoot well. That was awesome. So I think BYU is probably going to land as the 5 seed. Okay. That would be my guess. Yeah, like an 8-8, 9-7 kind of situation. If they are 4-2 or 3-3, that will kind of dictate what happens here. But I'm confident that there's certain pieces of what BYU did last night that can continue. BYU's going to play Pacific tomorrow. You mentioned they're surging. They've been up and down. BYU beat them by 20, allowing 49 points in the first West Coast Conference game, which feels like a million years ago.
There's that defense.
In December, right? And then offensively, 6-9, whatever. You only need 50 to win. Pacific is a team that you take care of at home. You got to take care of Santa Clara and San Francisco at home. You got to win at Pepperdine. 0-10 in the league. Like, they've been terrible. I know they're long and talented, and it's weird they're 0-10.
Fieldhouse has been weird. It doesn't matter.
They're 0-10 in the league. Like, go win there, right?
Got to beat that team.
And then I think BYU is in a position to perhaps be as high as 4. I don't see BYU at 3. I think that's probably Santa Clara's or LMU's spot. And then 4 is maybe one of the 5 is probably where BYU lands. But 4 would be amazing, all things considered. The emotions of what's happened in these close games, earlier in the season losing to South Dakota and UVU, the Bay Area road trip, which was super detrimental to BYU's pursuit of the 3 seed. We're not even talking about the 3. We're talking about top 4. There's still some good to be had here. And remember, last night was huge. If BYU lost last night, I'm thinking maybe NIT's not in the cards. NIT's in the cards now with the LMU win and with the positivity that came out of that game.
Sure. Yeah, BYU's resume overall has some quality there.
Yeah.
They needed to beat LMU, and the way that they beat LMU last night was really, really important. I can't believe I've reached the point, but we're here in February.
No, don't do it.
No, I'm telling you, this is legitimately what I did for an hour last night, okay? I went through the remaining schedules of each and every one of the West Coast Conference teams to just project what's most likely to happen.
I thought you were going to take NIT break.
No.
Which I looked up last week and I felt, I actually called my bishop and I said, I need to confess something.
Okay. And then I compared it to what Ken Pomeroy is projecting all these teams to finish out. And it's pretty close, but I am convinced that 9-7 is going to be the 4th place finisher. If BYU is 9-7.
That was 5th last year for BYU.
They will finish in 4th place. It is crazy. Yeah. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, now I'm looking at, okay, which teams am I rooting for in each of these games? On Saturday, BYU wants San Francisco to beat Santa Clara, okay? Because Santa Clara has one less loss than San Francisco. They would both have 6 losses if San Francisco wins tomorrow. And BYU, if they beat Pacific, they would be 6-5.
I can't wait to not discuss this.
Right? As I'm telling you, in 4th place, okay? Don't care what happens between Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They're the top 2 teams. Like, they're going to finish as the top 2
I want
teams.
St. Mary's to win the league this year.
Okay.
I'm like pro St. Mary's.
All right.
I don't know why.
And you should root for San Diego to beat LMU.
Yeah. No.
Right?
We want, yes, the Dregs, which are San Diego and Pepperdine. They've got to
all of a sudden,
clip a couple of games.
If LMU loses to San Diego and BYU beats Pacific, the Cougars are in a tie for third place with LMU at 6-5, which is just nuts.
Yes, and maybe third place is like a 6 or 7 loss team this year, as opposed to kind of 4 or 5.
Yeah. If you win 10 games in this league this year, you'll finish third. It doesn't matter who it is. Like if a team gets 2 10 wins, they will be the third place team.
Not getting to 10.
They would require beating St. Mary's or Gonzaga on the road.
I just don't see it.
And
not slipping up any but where else.
But the point is, they can make a legitimate run at that 4th place finish because there's so much parity in the conference.
I'm thinking 5. I'm thinking there's one slip up against non-St. Mary's Gonzaga somewhere. If not, though, top 4, baby.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Show up on Saturday.
Yes, to get there.
Not Friday.
Start on Saturday.
Topic 2. Multiple reports say Texas and Oklahoma probably aren't leaving before the 2-year window of 2025 to the SEC at this point. So, is having the Longhorns and Sooners in the new Big 12 good or bad for the conference? And if it is bad, tell me why.
It's good for the conference because you have national brands that are sticking around. I know that there's a little bit of weirdness because they're a divorced partner of sorts, and they're just waiting for the documents and the papers to be signed so that the divorce can become official.
See each other at breakfast. It's a little weird.
It's weird. In Texas and Oklahoma, I believe up to this date, still have not put out their own announcement about the Big 12 schedule. They just kind of retweeted what the Big 12 did.
They didn't?
Yeah, that's as far as I know. As far as I looked this morning.
They're like,
oh, yeah, here's what the Big 12
hey,
said.
Georgia won the national title. We did it.
So they're not super excited about it, but it's good for the conference, and it's fun for BYU fans because based on BYU being the only team of the newcomers to get both Texas and Oklahoma, fans across BYU Sports Nation were stoked because we thought, this is going to be the last year, and BYU got both of them. Well, now there's a chance that BYU is going to host Texas in 2025, and the prospect of that is really nice.
Yeah.
And I want BYU to play at Oklahoma to have that experience.
Yeah, 100%.
Go to that historic stadium and setting and play in Norman.
Yeah. Why wouldn't this be good? Huge brands, national interest, most of the time, really good teams. Texas is relevant no matter what they do. Even if they suck, they're relevant. Oklahoma's been the best team in the Big 12 since 2000, one of the best teams in the country. How many New Year's Six games since 2000 do you think they've been to? I looked it up this morning. I was shocked by the number.
I'm guessing 13 or 14.
17!
17.
New Year's Six games. They're unbelievable. Why would it ever be bad to have Oklahoma in the Big 12 the next 2 years? I think it's going to be great. It's going to be fun in basketball. It's going to be fun in all the sports. I want them in 2 years. Texas can afford it. Oklahoma can't. Oklahoma can't afford to leave early. Texas just writes a check from that away money.
They don't care. They don't care.
No, NBD.
Yeah, it's weird. They're getting divorced. We're waiting for the paperwork, but you might as well just make it as entertaining and with as much national brand power as you possibly can.
BYU and Norman will be really fun in 2024.
Let's make that happen.
Let's hope that happens.
I hope the conference, after making Oklahoma come to Provo in late November, it's like maybe we should give Oklahoma, we should throw them a bone and have BYU back in Norman next year. Or not.
Throw BYU a bone? Yeah. They owe nothing to Texas and Oklahoma.
That's true.
Well, they owe a lot of great years, but now they're upset. Yeah.
Our question of the day, it centers on basketball, and Big 12 basketball is going to be something. Holy cow.
I can't wait to talk about Kansas State and Oklahoma State. And everybody.
All the teams.
Baylor, Kansas. It's going to be great.
But first, it's the West Coast Conference and the West Coast Conference Tournament. Will BYU be a top 4 seed at this year's WCC Tournament? They're in 5th place right now. Why or why not? Brendan Smith on Twitter says, yes, if BYU can finish the rest of the regular season playing like they did last night.
Okay, let's be honest. Is BYU going to play like last night, the remaining 6? No. Can they gather several sustainable elements from that? Yes.
And they can take advantage of playing on their home court against San Francisco and Santa Clara.
Absolutely.
And Pacific.
Yes, Dave McCann's tweet is true. If BYU played like that, they'd win the league last night. But that was a high. That was an amazing performance coming off 3 losses. You grab a few things that work, mostly on defense, I think.
Yeah.
And like Jackson Robinson coming off the bench was a wrinkle. That was really nice.
And LMU's big man was injured. Like BYU took advantage of them not having their big size in the post.
Yeah.
So there are things there, but yeah. Let's hope for every game.
Rick Asansa is not a 28-point difference, though. Let's not give that guy too much credit. Jeez.
Couldn't agree more.